to the Town Council meeting. It is the 8th day of October, 2024. Hold please, while I do this. At exactly 7 p.m. We do have a quorum. Councilman Ellis is out, but other than that, we do have quorum, and the rest of the council is in attendance. Let the record also show that Town Administrator Aiken and Town Clerk Gray are also in attendance. Could you please rise for the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the first item on the agenda is to reconvene the regular meeting from the work session. So if I could get a motion to reconvene to the regular meeting.
I move to reconvene our meeting.
Second?
I'll second.
Moved by Councilman Denny, second by Councilman Merrill. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Hearing none opposed, the motion carries. Next item on the agenda is to adopt the agenda. And can I get a motion to adopt the agenda?
I so move to adopt the agenda.
I'll second.
Second? It's been moved by Councilman Merrill, second by Councilman Denny to adopt the agenda. All in favor say aye. Aye. Hearing none opposed, motion carries. The next item on the agenda is any announcements or proclamations. We don't have any at this time. So I'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is the public comment section. Just a reminder that if you're here to talk about any of the ordinances, we'll have plenty of time during that ordinance to talk about it. And so if you'd like to address the council on another issue that we're not reading tonight, then you're welcome to come up to the podium. And we do have a guest, so maybe I'll invite him up. This is Len Johnson. Let's go ahead.
Oh, okay.
And we'll have Len come up. So,
Thank you. My name is Catherine Van Stratton. I live in the ranch on Cedar Drive. Oh, it's okay. Perfect. So I wanted to express support for a bear attractant ordinance to be implemented in order to be better stewards of the wildlife around us and have a safer community overall. According to a grizzly bear conflict specialist with Fish and Wildlife, the Star Valley Ranch area has been a black bear hotspot for many years. Last week, our neighborhood experienced this with the black bear exploring our trash cans at least 3 times, and Game and Fish actually setting up a bear trap in our yard. We caught the bear on camera checking out the trap as well as a mountain lion. There are long-term solutions to the bear conflict problem, and I believe Star Valley Ranch should be actively considering them. One is requiring the use of bear-resistant trash cans. According to a group called Bearwise, communities requiring bear-resistant cans were 100% successful in keeping bears out of the garbage, as well as it reduces conflict, property damage, and helps improve safety in the community. Another long-term solution is implementing effective ordinances or bylaws to set standards for making sure everyone does their part to protect people, properties, and bears. The town of Jackson has done this by creating bear conflict zones, which just creates some areas of the town to have bear-resistant cans. Though it might not be a perfect solution, ordinances to reduce bear attractants will lead to less bear conflict and make it easier for Game and Fish to trap a bear should it visit Star Valley Ranch. We learned this last week, as the harder it is to trap a bear, the more conflicts the bear has, and the greater the chance the bear will be euthanized, as it is becoming a bigger threat to the community. There are community partners that want to help Star Valley Ranch become more bear-wise, including JH Bear Solutions, a nonprofit in Jackson, who can extend its discounted bear-resistant cans to Star Valley Ranch residents, as well as the expertise from Game and Fish and Fish and Wildlife representatives. I've also called some of the local trash companies to discuss the possibility of using bear-resistant garbage cans, as it seems the cans from JH Bear Solutions can actually work with any disposal truck, so not just West Bank. As a community that promotes the amazing outdoor access that we all enjoy, I believe Star Valley Ranch needs to do more to respect the local wildlife and keep our community safer. These are known long-term solutions to these problems, and we just all need to work together on this, and I'm happy to share these references as well as work on it further.
okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. We'll let Len come up and we'll keep moving on.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I'm not a very good public speaker. Len Johnson, I'm from Cokeville. Mayor Byers, council members, and Star Valley Ranch residents. I wanted to take a couple of your minutes to introduce myself. I'm from Cokeville and running to hold my seat on the school board. And I got appointed last March when the area member resigned. My area is Fairview, Osmond, Smoot, south to Cokeville. But I want to meet, I'm trying to meet all the people of the district. Everybody votes for everybody now. So I just need to, I'm a fourth generation rancher that moved back to Cokeville after I graduated from Utah State. I'm a father of 4. I've had 2 children go through, and graduate from the Cokeville schools. I got involved with the school board last fall with the proposed transportation cuts and all the routes. As a current bus driver, the Cokeville community nominated me as the Cokeville spokesperson as we fought to keep our students, getting to school as safely as possible. Being new to this position, I'm still learning the ropes, but I'll make sure I'll make sure there will be no more route cuts. I will make sure your tax dollars are spent as they should. I will make sure we recruit, hire the best teachers available, and most important, I will put the students of this district first. I was like, Cokeville is a ways away, but you can contact me day or night. I'll try to help you resolve the issue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, anyone else want to speak to the council?
I want to comment before I comment on my subject. What she's saying about the bears is accurate. The first thing we got to do before anything is mandatory bear-proof trash cans. Because I've had a bear on my job site. The first thing we went for was the trash can. And that's where I saw him. It was like Yogi Bear. So I'm up here to speak tonight, and I'm going to introduce myself for the people that don't know me. My name is Lars Robinson, and I am a candidate for town council. And one of my stances is what I'm going to talk tonight about. And over the years, I've had struggles with trying to figure out whose responsibility is what, the Association of the Ranch. And I came across this document, and I passed it around to the people in the audience, and I furnished a copy to all the councilmen. And I just want to dance through this a little bit because I know it's outdated. But the key thing of this one is where the politicians signed at the end. I'm going to jump this. This is something I wasn't planning to do. But it's construed as a living document. In legal terms, that means it's recurring. So my interpretation of this document is that it happens every time we have an election. So let me just get to the start, and we'll start with the resolution paragraph. And that's the thesis of this entire resolution. And then the next one is just basically telling them who we are. The third line is where the town commits to a position. And I circled the word betterment. Okay, so that's the town's stance. The next line is where the association places its stance. And this is interesting here. And this is why I'm saying I'm not really going to get into this document because I'm assuming that it's evolved over the last 11 years. And it says it intends to continue its existence. That's an interesting thing, and that takes some interpretation. But for the betterment of its current and future membership. And then there's the word and. I know it jumps down to the whereas next, but should there be some kind of penalty for missing the mark on each entity? That's one of the things that I was thinking about. Now, the next whereas, both the aforementioned entities desire to provide their respective constituencies quality services. That's key. And I don't have enough time to really go into what I know about this. But these are the highlights of this particular resolution. I I didn't find this on the website, this is a challenge, I can't find resolutions on the website. Now, the next one is the now therefore be it resolved paragraph. And this is really the best part of this entire thing. So I went through that statement, and the word declare. Declare means it's absolute, declarations. And that's gonna come up when it's involved with DCC and Rs. And I'm gonna get to that in a second, I'm almost finished.
Okay, because I know you don't
It's all
like
right.
me to cut your time.
No, it's all right. I knew it was gonna run over a little bit, just be patient with me and let me finish, I'm almost there. Now, the paragraph below, the key line in this one is major and sole responsibilities. And both entities use this phrase of the association and the town. The key thing that stuck out to me is the DCC and Rs. And I'm gonna put it out here in the public right now, there's absolutely 5 hardcore violations of the DCC and Rs in my neighborhood alone. And I've been around the town and I've seen more. If I get elected, they're gonna have to answer for this. And so will the town, because the next one's coming here on this next paragraph. So the next paragraph says, exact same thing, major and sole responsibilities. The key word is sole. In the line item on this one, planning, zoning, and control of new construction or improvements to lots. And what this tells me right here is the association relinquished powers to the town. And I didn't have a say in that. And I paid them money. I don't like that. And that's pretty much the end of this. Now, I would like you to find these documents and email them to me for the years of 2015 or 14, and it should be every 2 years because it revolves around elections. And I really am interested in 2019, 2021, or 2023 or 24. And I brought this to the attention of the people. And if you want change, I want you to vote for me. I see you, Mr. Baird. I do.
Okay.
So thank you for your time and let me run over.
Okay, we're back to the public comment. Any other comments that's not on an ordinance? Mr. Hanson, did you have something to say?
Just basically a question. I was reading in the Close to Home article where it was mentioned that the contractor doing the pipeline had failed to pave the section, the intersection out here on Vista and Vista West. And I was wondering why they weren't required to pave the entire Vista Road, which generally is what is part of a project. Every time they put in a pipeline, they're supposed to return the street back to its original condition. And at least at one time, not too long ago, it was pavement, but had a few problems. And I was wondering why paving Vista was not part of the project to replace the pipeline from Green Canyon down Vista to Town Hall. I don't know.
I can answer that.
Answers why?
It was not part of the project because what? Oh, my microphone, sorry. Just, by the way, 307 is not a town newsletter, so I just want to make sure that people understand that. It was not part of the project because from Cedar Creek to Vista West, the road had deteriorated to the point where it could not be repaired. And then, so the decision was made to take out what little asphalt there was left. It was not part of the project. This asphalt from here to Cedar Creek was in much better shape, and so that was part of the project. that they would replace that. But the town council is very aware that we are going to have to replace Vista. But not until the project's done. We still have another year of the project, so. But that's the
But it
reason.
was paved at one time, Vista. It had problems, yes.
Yeah, it had severe
But why
problems.
wasn't that part of the project?
It was not. We would have had to pay for that out of our reserves. It was not part of the project. And so we voted as a town council to do it right and not have a whole road full of patches, and that's the reason.
But they would have had to repave it.
No, they would not. They would only have to patch where they dug. That is all they do. They don't repave the entire road. This is a little different
That's
situation.
generally, in past practice, it's been part of every pipeline project. If they tear up the road, they take it back to the condition that it was. And it was paved.
I'm not gonna argue with you, Lee.
Yeah, but can I say that we know that the base of Vista, it required digging down 2 feet, so putting it back the way it was is a waste of money. We need to wait until we get the money to do it right.
Okay, any other public comments? Sorry. All right, no more comments. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is to adopt the consent agenda. And so, I will read those items aloud, so we know what is in there. The first item is to, approve minutes from September 10th. The next, and the regular meeting, we also had to have a special meeting on September 25th. So those minutes are in there. You've got the disbursements, the dispatch report, the special municipal, and the municipal officers report. So if I could get a motion to approve the consent agenda, I'd appreciate it.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Okay, second. So moved by Councilman Rock, second by Councilman Denny. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Hearing none opposed, motion carries. All right, so the next item on the agenda is ordinances. So the first one, we have an old ordinance on there, and that is ordinance 2024-11. So, Councilman Rock? Yeah.
Read by title.
Oh, read by title. I forget that every time. Sorry. Could I get a motion to read these by title and summary only?
I move that we read the ordinances by title and explanation only.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Hearing none opposed, motion carries. Okay, now we'll go to the ordinance. Ordinance 2024-11.
This is the third reading of ordinance 2024-11, Title 15, Land Usage, Chapter 150, Buildings. This is just an update to the existing code to clarify the language for building inspections, stop work order requirements, occupancy, certificate of occupancy requirements, and carries language over from another update regarding driveways. There were very minimal changes from the third reading, for the third reading, which are in orange if you have colored copies. I move that we approve the third reading of ordinance 2024-11, Title 15, Land Use, Chapter 150, Buildings.
I second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilman Rock, second by Councilman Denny. Any questions from the audience on this ordinance? More of a cleanup, some grammar issues? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye, hearing none opposed, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is a new ordinance. This is ordinance 2024-12, land usage, 154. Oh, is that me? Sorry. No, that's one?
I don't think that's mine.
Should I? It's not. Okay.
Okay, this is ordinance 2024-12, Title 15, Land Usage, Chapter 154, Zoning. This is an update to existing language regarding impact fees for new developments that removes the fee from ordinance and puts it in the fee schedule set by resolution. So all we're doing here is taking the fees out of the ordinance and putting them in a fee schedule, which we've been trying to do with a lot of the other ordinances we have in town. I move that we approve the first reading of ordinance 2024-12, Title 15, Land Usage, Chapter 154, zoning.
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any questions from the audience on this one? No? Let me explain this a little bit. I can explain this a little bit further. Thank you, Councilman. This came up because we have someone who wants to build a subdivision and wants to access one of our roads. His property aligns with our road, and what we would do in that case is we would have a contract with that subdivision, so they would have to pay the town for maintenance, plowing, everything that would have to do with our road. And so this is what this fee schedule would be. It's per home, and that way the town council can assess it at the time this happens, so, and not be put in ordinance. So that is the purpose for that. Council, did you have any other questions? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Hearing none opposed, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is ordinance 2024-13. This one right here, sure.
Okay. This is the first reading of ordinance 2024-13, Title 15, Land Use, Chapter 150, Buildings. This is an update to existing code, adding language to better clarify the requirements for the certificate of placement, moving information to paragraph H, which will also change additional lettering in the ordinance. And this is the first reading. I move that we approve ordinance 2024-13, Title 15, Land Use, Chapter 150, Buildings.
Second?
A second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any questions in the audience on this?
I have one.
Okay.
Sandy Willis. I live on Cedar Creek Drive. I looked at this on the website, and H, the current H, talks about the building materials being new. And so are you replacing H, and this will be H?
That'll be H and everything else will move down, basically. So when the codifiers do it, they'll move everything.
Okay.
Okay, so that's your question?
It was under L, so I thought it was out of order.
Yes, you're right. Probably is.
Oh, yeah.
Just a quick addition to is this language recommended by the surveyor's office, Surveyor Sherville's office, to better clarify. And they are the ones that do the certificate of placement. So they felt like our language was not as clear as it should be. Any other questions, council? Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Hearing none opposed, motion carries. The next item on the agenda is 2024-13. -14.
So this is the first reading for ordinance 2024-14, Title 12, Traffic Code, Chapter 71, Motor Vehicles and Traffic. The explanation would be to update the existing code by moving parking requirements from 91.04 restrictions to 71.05 parking restrictions. I so move that we pass ordinance 2024-14, Title 12, Traffic Code.
Second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Moved by Councilman Merrill, second by Councilman Denny. I'll just give a quick explanation. For some reason, sometime we had under Parks and Recreation, a sentence about parking. And so now it's in parking. So it's pretty straightforward. Any questions from the audience on this one? Okay, council? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is ordinance 2024-15.
This is the first reading for ordinance 2024-15, Title 19, General Regulations, Chapter 91, Parks and Rec. The explanation is just to update the existing code by moving parks and recreation on roadway parking restrictions to 71.05 parking restrictions. And I so move that we pass ordinance 2024-15, title amending general regulations.
Okay, thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Moved by Councilman Arrow, second by Councilman Rock. Any questions on this one? Council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Hearing none opposed, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is ordinance 2024-16, chapter 90.
This is the first reading of ordinance 2024-16, title 9, please get my department wrong, general regulations, chapter 90 animals. So this is an update to the existing ordinance to include regulations governing chickens, ducks, and bees, the main event for the evening. I move that we approve the first reading of ordinance 2024-16, title 9, general regulations, chapter 90 animals.
Okay. Second?
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All right. I will open this up to public comment. So, come on up here if you would like to comment on this change to the animal ordinance.
I guess I'll start this out since I'm strictly against having chickens. When we had that meeting with the sheriff and the association, he said we had trouble with residents and short-term rentals. He was 100% right. Because we do have trouble with residents moving in here, ignoring our ordinances and doing whatever they want. And that might be part of our trouble with all these break-ins now, people moving in here knowing we have no enforcement at all around here. They can come in here and do whatever they want, or we'll change ordinances for them. But anyway, get this started off. I'm sure it'll make a lot of people mad, but I don't care. I'm here to talk about the ordinance regarding chickens and ducks and why I'm against it. They carry 5 different infectious diseases, including salmonella, bird flu, and E. coli, or some listed by the CDC through droppings and feathers. Already cases in Idaho Falls and California of bird flu just happening now. One Utah with salmonella that was caused by chickens in the last few weeks. Then you have the smelly droppings in the air that people with health problems breathe in all the time. Risk of health issues of elderly people, people with autoimmune diseases, pregnant women, and kids up to 5 years old. The diseases from chickens can cause severe illness or even be fatal, death, in elderly people or autoimmune people. And my wife,
Can you,
my
talk
wife,
to council?
and autoimmune diseases, and there is a lady across the street that has autoimmune too, and she's pregnant with her first child, and I'd hate to see anything happen to her baby. I have been married to my wife for 41 years and will not bow down to losing her life over such a decision to appease to people that have already put her life and mine in jeopardy along with other citizens of our town not abiding to our laws. We both have autoimmune, and a lot of other people does. The people that brought the petition to you say they want the chickens to teach their kids responsibility. Well, responsibility starts with the parents to give to the kids. How's this for responsibility? By their own parents. Star Valley Ranch sends out a red flag, no burn, to the people in July. No burn. It's so dry. Then they sent another letter out in August. Okay, each time the parents were outside with a 55-gallon burn barrel, burning about an 8-foot stack of pallets. And this has been being done at 9:30 and 10:30 of the night. And I reckon everybody has heard about the town of Lahaina in Hawaii that got burned up during the night, all the people got killed. Just because of that. Fire. That could have very well happened down here to all your loved ones and my loved ones down here by them doing it and ignoring your ordinance. But we could, okay. 'Cause you can tell me, is that showing responsibility to your kids? I don't believe so. Anyway, then you got the problems with your raccoons, skunks, predator problems with the bears, mountain lions, coyotes. We had some of them down here just the other night, somebody heard them, and wolves. Now, up in Jackson, they've already got people's cats, house cats they let out. They've been finding them half-eaten on trails up there by predators. And then, as far as the chickens, people having the chickens down there, we got one person that's had them for 3.5 years from what I'm hearing, and I'd like to get an investigation up on that by the town to see why that has been happening for 3.5 years when we've had this ordinance in effect, and how it's got by and heads been turned. And then we got I guess the neighbor moved in 1.5 years ago and brought you the petition. He seen the people behind him had chickens. So he got chickens and a coop. There wasn't no time, people down just next house past me, they got chickens and a coop and let them free range. They was in my yard, tore all my mulch out and my grass webbing out and got into the flower bed and tore it up. And you think anybody come over and said sorry, or we'd replace it? No, I had to get out there with a mask on and gloves just to replace that because of my autoimmune system from catching salmonella or anything, which was possible. Then, on the summary, I myself would not want to make a decision that can take the lives of our citizens with health concerns to overturn an ordinance that has been in place for years, even with a more restrictive one. You need to look at the liability liability of the town and the people that makes that decision. If someone dies from this decision after being informed of the problems it can cause, just to appease the people that have already put people's lives in harm's way by ignoring the town's codes and ordinances, what will they want from you next? Bring drug people in here and let them live here and let them sell their drugs, and then maybe we'll have to change the ordinance for them if they come and bring a little small petition up. So, that's what, then you'll see what happens to your town. That's what I got to say.
Thank you very much.
Council members, my name is Brandon Merrill. Although I completely respect the fact that people would love to have chickens and beehives on their property to be able to either provide for their family or whatever the case may be. This last month, we've had a bear visit our house, a couple handfuls at a time, caught on our Ring camera. And then I contacted Game and Fish. They came out, they set a trap. And then a neighbor next to the trap caught a lion on their Ring camera. So my concern is my children playing around in our yard, around the area. We live up in the trees that nearly borders Bridger Teton. My concern is the attractants of chickens, honey, bringing those predators in and harming our children. I'm not trying to be a scare tactic, but it's real life. I mean, we've had multiple bears come through our property, and that's my concern. And that's why I would be against the new ordinance. Thank you. Thank you.
Go ahead. My name is Sherry Brown, and I live just one street past where these chickens are. I take care of my mother. She has an immune system that's been altered. She's 87 years old. She also has Alzheimer's. And she doesn't need to be smelling these chickens. I can smell them from my back porch. I hear them clucking all the time when they're laying eggs. If you want chickens, my opinion is, go buy land. I was raised on a ranch, that's where they need to be, not in a housing development. Let's see here. Also, they've had them for 3 years, it's broken the rules. When we all moved to the ranch, we were told, you will abide by these laws, you will abide by these rules. Why has this been let go for so long? That's my question to you. Why? The town hall's been called, Star Valley Ranch Association's been called, and they still have the chickens. I have a neighbor that lived behind me. He had a rabbit in a cage for his little girls. He was told the minute Jim found out they had it, get rid of it, no questions asked. Why are the chickens still there? Can't have a rabbit, get it out of here. Chickens are still there, 3 years now. My final question is, if you pass this ordinance on the ranch for these chickens, does that mean you're gonna allow chickens and chicken coops on the golf course? That's my question. Thanks.
Okay.
Carolyn Thacker, I guess I'll weigh in on this because I was on the board of directors for the Star Valley Ranch. And in the covenants, when people buy their property here, they're given a copy of the covenants, which is the DCZNRs, which I understand are very old. But in there it says no livestock. A lot of people have moved here just because of the fact you don't have livestock here. And livestock is chickens, rabbits, whatever. Next, we're gonna have a horse, or we're gonna have a goat, or we're gonna have something else. I agree with this gentleman right here. This is not a farming community. And if you were reading your covenants, you would understand. And I have no idea why the town is going after this, Ms. Rue, because you had an ordinance against it, and the covenants are against it for the DCCNRs. And I understand it is very hard to control some of those ordinances or the covenants because we don't have a officer like Jim to go around and drive around and see where all these violations are at.
I am Melissa Asher, and I've got 4 beautiful children, and my oldest is 9, and we're pro chicken, pro bees. In fact, we've got a little bit of land over in Freedom that we have bees and chickens, and our kids are able to partake of all those things. We put our oldest in a bee suit this last summer, and she got to experience the joys of watching the honeybees come in, put the pollen on their bodies, and learn how honey is made and how nature works, and how nature works with one another, and how bees can be a benefit to pollinate our beautiful nature, our flowers. And with chickens, I believe in good soil health, and we use our chickens to green up our grass, and they put nitrogen back in the soil, and they control bug populations. My kids learn how to take care of those chickens and to love them and to treat them like members of the family. We keep our coop very clean, and we keep the surrounding area very clean. And when we do that, they don't smell. And they also are a great system to get rid of excess things in the kitchen and to just have that cycle of life. And I hear people's concerns with the elderly and whatnot, and I think if we just respect our neighbors and keep clean coops and keep respectful coops and keep those coops closed off to predators, then I think we can all live in coherence with one another and enjoy the hobbies that we like to have and treat have our children learn responsibility through animals. I would love for every child to go through 4-H or something similar. And I know we have to do that within our means of where we live, but I think this is a good way to do that without bringing in the bigger animals like cows and goats and sheep. to give those kids those experiences. And so just wanted to say that and hope you take it into consideration.
Candy, I appreciate both sides of the story. However, I agree 100% with Carolyn, with this gentleman, and with everyone else who has spoken against it. There are reasons why we have DCCMs. There are reasons why there's no livestock here. There are reasons why people move here. And as was stated, Carolyn was very clear about that. People move here knowing that we're a little bit lax on things. And I don't agree, as much as I agree with this wonderful young lady and her beautiful children, that it's nice to grow up on a farm and to be raised around livestock, chicken and such. Why move here? Why move here when you know what the rules and regulations are? And the best way to respect your neighbor is to respect the ordinances that we have. Thank you.
I'm Lawrence Robinson, and I've been listening. So I've been quoted as saying I was in favor of chickens. And this is part of the politics thing. If I finish the sentence, I'm in favor about discussing it. I mentioned that I think that certain plats might be able to qualify. And after listening to you, sir, I actually have seen this part, and this is what I would do if I was elected and listen to more, because I don't know enough about this. And I learned a lot right here in this meeting. And I don't think this issue, this is what I believe here, after listening to what I heard. Because I didn't even know we had people with chickens on the ranch. I thought this was an open discussion. Everybody that has chickens right now needs to have them immediately removed. That's the fact. This is the rules. And they need to be served notice. That's a fact. And then we start from there. And we don't need to sign them. I don't know if this is what you guys gotta do. You got about 4 more months. So this thing changes. But no, they gotta all go. Oh, I know more about it now than I did before. And we do have rules. And we have to abide by them, and then we change them from there. We don't react to an action when it comes to law and legislation. And I'm in agreement with you, and then we need to have bigger discussions. It's huge. I see both points, because I like to hear in my plat, because mine's dairy and I'm not like that, I could probably pull that off there. But I don't believe you can do that in every place. And so I'm in favor of removing everybody that has chickens or reported needs to get rid of them. Give them a time limit. I mean, we can't just get rid of chickens. You gotta plan that, you know. That's what I would think. It's not an easy operation. But that needs to happen before we even.
I believe that's already been done.
And this is too short of a period of time, 3 months, to decide this law. But we need to get rid of the chickens that are here first.
Okay, more comments?
Sorry? Go ahead. Mine will be short, because we already said most of it, but I'm Mary Hurst, and I would just like to say a couple more points. That is why we picked this subdivision, town, it was a subdivision, town, when we moved here, because we didn't want it to be like Nordic ranches that had all the other animals, you know, by our property. And then another thing I would like to say is I think you'd be living in a fantasy world if you thought everybody's gonna keep their stuff that clean. Think of people's different yards, how they keep them. And with no enforcement here, and no, you know, you're not gonna keep it pristine clean unless you're in a fantasy world. That's all I gotta say.
My name is Katie Tolson. I am also running for the town council. My entire platform is the HOA and the town coming together. And I feel like this ordinance goes completely against what the DCCNRs already state. And that is not any kind of collaboration between the two offices. And I think you guys should definitely consider that in your decision.
Tony Reynolds, and I'm on the board of directors presently. Everybody here remember the date 2032. 2032, and I'm sorry my back is toward you. That is when the present DCCNRs can be looked at again. Everybody that moved here at some time or another was given the covenant. Whether you read it or not, it's like your handbook for your car. You get that handbook, do you read it about changes? No, because you do what you want. But if you have rules that need to be followed, they should be followed. We did have somebody approach us about a bee colony, that they are renting a house. We carefully checked it out because they did ask us, and we said, no, you can't have bees. Now, if people do have these things on their property, please let the board know. What we do is we follow up. They get a letter from us. Like Katie said, and if I can be blunt, why the hell are we working together? You all know what the covenant is. You all know that the DCCNRs say no, but yet you want to have a reading. So all we're doing is not coming together, we're going apart because people say, blame the association. We will stand up and say no, because it is not permitted. Please take the black and white paper, unless you used it for firewood, use it and understand and read it. We had to go through all our Wyoming Nonprofit Act because people challenged us, the board, and we revised things because we needed to. And we had to keep everything on target. There is no reason to change wildlife when it says not permitted. Thank you for your
But that's
time.
why we're here today, is to get the input of the public.
I promised I wouldn't do this, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I'd like to bring to the council's attention a couple of things. This is more, I always look at things, can you legally do it? Yeah, you can do anything you want, but it won't fly. Because the state of Wyoming's constitution allows, say, the more restrictive law, if there's a conflict, the more restrictive law will prevail. If you pass this, you allow Sunrise and these 5 lots have chickens. Nobody else gets chickens. We made an agreement, and it was verbal, unfortunately. We should have put a lot of things in writing. That the town would never write an ordinance that contradicted the associations. I can't believe I'm sticking up for the association. But that's what we said. There's no sense of us having a law with 2 different sections in it. So that one of us governs this way and the other governs this way. And what you're doing is, all you're doing is taking your problem and giving it to the association. Because you don't have the nerve to stand up and tell them they can't have chickens. It's the law. And if you can't do it, change the law. But you can't change half a law. All you're doing is changing half a law. And I hope you listen to this. Because I'm very serious about this. We've got to live by the laws and change those that we can. But I've heard everybody say, I want to see the association and the town work together. And boy, is this a step in the wrong direction, guys. You got mud on your face. So somebody's got to give, and the way you give is go back to it. There's a ton of people here that bought here because of the DCCNRs. We didn't have a town, but we liked the rules and regulations the way they were. And so we bought here. And now we've lived here for 20 years or 15 years, and because of a council but I'm pointing the finger to all 5 of you that's not here. You've decided that a few people want to have chickens.
But this has not passed.
I know it hasn't,
Okay.
but I'm trying to convince you.
Okay.
I
Then
would-
convince us and stop saying we've done it.
I'd like to see, well, you've gone too far, is what I'm saying. You've gone way too far because you've not considered the things that those of us that want to see the things like they are, or we want to see the majority of the people. And 5 or 6 chicken houses are not majority, so enough said, please vote no.
Any other comments? Okay, looks like we have one more, and then we'll, oh,
One time here, my wife told me no.
that's why mine's not allowed here.
Well, I'd just like to point out that we live in a rural area, but we do not live in an area of farms. We are not farmers, okay? And the next thing is when people bought property here, okay, there were regulations that said you can't have farm animals. Now, if the buyers did not know that, okay, then maybe they have a case against the realtor, because the realtor did not disclose that they could not do this. And from everybody I've heard, except for the young people that just bought, okay, and said, oh, well, we didn't know, because, so we want to have some chickens. No. We have the rules and the regulations, and that's the reason a lot of the people live here, okay, is because we don't want to live in a farmyard. And I think that if that's not satisfactory to people who live here, then they need to look at a place where animals and farm animals are permitted, okay, and not try to impose their beliefs or their wants or their supposed needs on the individuals who are here for these reasons and want to stay here. So I would encourage you to please vote no on this and leave the original ordinance in effect. And both the association and the town need to enforce it. So I'm all done. My wife's mad at me, so.
Okay, looks like we have one more, and then I'll turn it over to council.
Hi, my name is Kylie Pullen, and I would like to just respectfully see both sides of everybody's stories. I see the pros and the cons. And as I'm sitting here listening to everybody's pros and cons, I was looking at the vision statement, and it says that we are a beautiful mountain community in a rural setting. And I get that the mountain community and the rural setting come with bears, mountain lions, coyotes, raccoons, all creatures of the mountains. And I can respectfully agree with knowing your CCNRs when you move in and when you purchase a house, and that is, I understand that as well, but I also think that the vision of this town isn't to stay complacent. It isn't, and the only reason young families are moving here is because it's affordable, it's beautiful, and I don't know if you guys have looked in the retail nowadays, but a 7% interest rate for a small family is not easy to find big, huge farmlands with. And so seeing this beautiful rural community gives us that opportunity to raise our children in a rural, beautiful mountain community where we have seen lots of you and experienced the type of growing up on a farm and having those responsibilities of caring for other things besides just the normal ins and outs of days responsibilities. But we want to teach our children respect, and to go about change the respectful legal way is by doing what we are doing, by talking to the council, by bringing it to the attention of you guys and to change it legally and not just ignoring it until it becomes what we want and feel entitled to what we want. We will be patient, we will earn it through the right ways, and that's all I'd like to say.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, town council, any comments?
Should I go first, or?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, one is the point of how does the town work? We can make decisions in workshops, but you guys will see that. By bringing an ordinance to the table, where people have to vote yes or no, and get input, I think is the best way for these issues to come up. So what we have is a draft of what it looks like. I'm gonna vote no because I respect associations, or it pit us against, it pit neighbor against neighbor, it pits town against association. So I'm definitely a no on this, but bringing it to the board, to the table this way, I think it may be the best way to get in front of everybody and make everybody vote. That's why we have the first reading. You can see what's going on, you'll get a vote.
So, I do believe in doing your due diligence before you move into a place. And I also understand the confusion of moving in and already seeing chickens. Unfortunately, I feel like because the town hasn't been able to enforce the ordinance that we already have, putting one in place with more regulations isn't gonna help anybody. So, to me, I definitely consider chickens, because even though the association is against them, in 8 years, they may change that. So, I definitely considered it, as the town has the right to change their ordinance if they choose to. But at this point, not only because I have bears at my house for the last 2 weeks, but also because I feel like other people that did move here did not want chickens. And the DCCNRs speak to that I would be voting no as well.
Thank you both, and I appreciate the opportunity to have this ordinance come up in front of everyone. I do agree with Councilman Denny that this is the best way to decide these kind of ordinance updates. I mean, and quite frankly, I'm very happy to see all the people that are here. I wanted to thank everybody that made comments. They're very thoughtful comments. I do have a few things I want to say before we actually get to the vote. I did write them down because I didn't want to forget anything, so if you would indulge me for that. The first thing I'd like to say is that Star Valley Ranch today is not the same place it was 50 years ago when that first set of Star Valley Ranch Association DCCNRs went into effect, and I believe that was in 1970, with subsequent sets coming after that, and they do all contain that no livestock provision. The update to this chapter 90 animals ordinance that's being presented tonight came about from a group of residents that did bring a request forward, asked the council to consider making an update to the ordinance to allow chickens. Personally, I think it's the council's job to do exactly that, and that's what we're doing tonight. So again, appreciate the council discussing this over the last couple of months and bringing it forward. So I personally have researched the subject extensively since this topic came up. I've discussed it with many individuals, I've discussed it with numerous residents, I've discussed it with many professionals in both Fish and Game and the Forest Service. I've shared all the information I've learned with the council so that they can all make their own informed decision. The most common issues raised are the same issues that many of you have raised here tonight, and that is concerns about increased potential for attracting predators, possible disease concerns, as well as noise and general nuisance concerns. So when we wrote this draft update to the ordinance, we tried to take all of those concerns into account. Certainly it's not perfect, and if the update was to be approved after 3 readings, I imagine we would have to tweak it going forward into the future to make it even better. The town has also sought a legal opinion from the town attorney. given that if this update were to pass, it would conflict with the Star Valley Ranch Association DCCNRs. The town attorney made it clear in his opinion that based on existing Wyoming case law, the town is not the enforcer of homeowners association covenants. If the town were to update this chapter 90 and approve it, it would not overrun the association's covenants. The town has discretion to update its code, and while the majority of the town currently falls under the Star Valley Ranch Association covenants, not all of the properties in the town do, nor would the association's covenants apply to any future annexations into the town. If the town approves this ordinance change for poultry, and thereafter a property owner relying on the updated town ordinance were to bring poultry onto their property, and that property is under the association's covenants, the property owner would be in violation of those covenants. That violation would not be a town issue. No matter the outcome of tonight's vote, clearly half of you are either going to be very pleased or very disappointed. My only request is that I would ask residents that are here tonight and residents throughout the town to just try to be good neighbors to each other despite what the outcome of tonight's vote on this might be. It's kind of interesting to me that a topic like chickens could become so divisive, but I suppose that's kind of the way things run in the country these days. And I'd like to conclude by saying that personally, I believe it's the right thing to do this, to bring this request to update the ordinance forward so that the council can publicly weigh the options and make a decision. And again, I appreciate everybody who took the time to talk to me leading up to tonight's meeting, both for and against approving this ordinance. So thank you for the time, and Mayor, appreciate the indulgence.
All right. So it's a little interesting because we're missing a councilman for this vote. So, I think this one's interesting because I know that a lot of cities have chickens. It's pretty common in areas, and we do also have our CCNRs that override this decision. So if the town does approve it, you still can't have chickens. It's in your contract on your property. Other than Sunrise, who actually also has it in their CCNRs. So it's only on the commercial property, which is kind of interesting, which is not allowed on commercial property. So I'm kind of struggling with this one, but I'm going to call for a vote and see where we're at. If it's a tie, it fails, and we move on. So could I get a vote on this? So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
No. So this ordinance fails. Okay, we'll move on to the next one. Let's see, where are we? Oh, that's good. This is ordinance 2024-17, and this is administration. And that is the municipal court, so that also, that's for the bond, right?
It's for the short-term rental and for...
Is it short-term rental also?
Yes, so it would have to be updated for the second.
It has to
reading
be, yeah.
If we pass the short-term rental. So we go ahead and read it tonight, though.
Yeah, we could do it tonight, but since the other one failed, this one would actually have to fail too, because you're voting on the entire thing, right? Hold on, let me think this through.
A little administrative,
Yeah, so it does have the chickens on it.
Can we table it?
We can. You want to do a motion to table?
I move that we table ordinance 2024-17, Title III Administration, Chapter 35, Municipal Court.
I second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Hearing none opposed, motion carries. All right, so the next one is ordinance 2024-18, administration. And this is the first reading on this one.
This is a first reading of ordinance 2024-18, Title III Administration, Chapter 33, Town Organization. So this is a change of the name and duties of the Planning and Zoning Board to the Planning Commission to be consistent with Wyoming State statute, and this is the first reading. I move that we approve ordinance 2024-18, Title III Administration, Chapter 33, Town Organizations.
I second.
Been moved by Councilman Rock, second by Councilman Denny. We can open this up to comments. Hearing none, council, did you have any questions on this one? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Hearing none opposed, motion carries. The next item on the agenda is 2024-19. This is business regulations, and this is our favorite topic.
Yes, second favorite one for the night. This is the first reading of ordinance 2024-19, Title 11, Business Regulations, Chapter 113, Short-Term Rental Residential Units. This is an update to the existing ordinance to add definitions, to clarify language in sections 113.03, 05, and 06, and to better define the prohibitions and penalties. I will mention that there will be some changes for the second reading based on some late input we received from the prosecuting attorney. But for now, I would like to move that we approve the first reading of ordinance 2024-19, Title 11, Business Regulations, Chapter 113, Short-Term Rental Residential Units.
Okay, second.
I second.
Moved by Councilman Rock, second by Councilman Denny. Any questions on this ordinance?
I have two comments.
Okay, go ahead.
And they have to do with understanding of definitions. I'm guilty of accusing the guy a few years ago. He was hosting a short-term rental, and I said, you're no longer a single-family dwelling. You're upstairs and you're downstairs. And so I still think we need to make sure we understand if a hosted short-term rental violates that single-family dwelling definition. It can go both ways. I mean, are you really a second family or not? So I think we need to address that further before we proceed with this. Because I was under the impression that you've got two families in the same house, even for a week, you're no longer a two-family dwelling. So I think we need a little more understanding of that.
Any other comments from the council?
The second one is,
Second, sorry.
it's an issue that we've discussed before, is short-term rental business. And I think we've just discussed it. We've got input from lawyers saying you cannot, if you're gonna allow people to rent a house for more than 6 months at a time, that's the same thing as renting a house to people for a week at a time, so. Is it a business or is it not? I still don't know for sure.
We have it in business regulations.
We do have it in business regulations.
So if it's business, it's not allowed by ordinance or the town zoning or town CCR leaders, so more thinking is needed on this. If you guys got ideas, let me know, let us know.
Okay, any other questions, council? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Hearing none opposed, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is ordinance 2024-20, land usage 154.
So this is the first reading for ordinance 2024-20, Title 15, Land Usage, Chapter 154, zoning. It's basically a change to minimum square footage of single-family dwellings from 1,200 square feet to 900.
Okay. Your motion? Oh.
Sorry. And I so moved
It's been a long day.
2024-20.
Okay, second.
I'll second.
Moved by Councilman Merrill, second by Councilman Denny. Any questions on this one? This one's kind of interesting. Come on up, please. I would have been sad if you wouldn't have asked this question.
Lee Hanson. I wondered what the logic is for dropping the square footage requirement. When we put that in place originally, it was to maintain property values and the overall look of the town, that it was a little bit special, and because we love this place, and so the 1,200 square foot was kind of a For a while, we had 1,500 and now, and we settled on 12, and now you're wanting to drop it to 900. So I'm trying to understand what the logic is, why you want to allow smaller homes here on the ranch.
Particularly because, we're trying to make it more affordable. I think property values are doing just fine, unfortunately, for some of us. And so it's really to make it more affordable, because at this point, we do have a housing crisis going on. And if you don't want people moving in with 900 square feet, maybe you can ask them to also make it 2 levels, so then it'll be more.
So the logic is to make everything more affordable.
One reason, yeah, I mean, because we're having an issue with having affordable housing.
Yet the town is growing leaps and bounds with the existing ordinances.
Yeah.
So I don't see that
Well,
is
and part
something
of
that
that
the
is
town of
also-
Star Valley Ranch is mandated with to make everything more affordable.
Actually, it's not making it more affordable only, it's also just so that hopefully nobody from the state or other cities are seeing this as not being cooperative and trying to allow people to live here.
I think,
We're not disallowing them, but.
No, but we are eliminating some, for sure.
and I think too, Councilman Merrill, if I'm not mistaken, there's been a couple of times recently where we've had folks that have been through the association architectural review committee, I might get that name wrong, that have then come to the town with these really nice plans that are 900 square feet, and then we have to make them go back and do it again. And so there's kind of a disconnect there between the square footage that's in some of the DCCNRs and the 1,200 square feet. So that was sort of another consideration as well.
In the past, when it was changed, it was also, it seemed like maybe a different agenda was afoot, so this is also more what I'm kind of pushing for, to make it more affordable for families, single
Like
family
I said,
dwellings.
the original 1,200, we went through a lot of discussion and a lot of study, and we decided at the 1,200 square foot zone, and knew that would hopefully improve the overall property values on the ranch, which is something that we should strive for, I believe, so.
Well, I agree, there is a federal move afoot towards small homes, and there may be laws coming, pushing towns to require, to allow small homes. Here, because we have the CCRs, we may not be pushed into that. And then I think at $400, $500 a square foot, to build a house, even 900 is 400. By the time you buy the lot, I think it's $500,000 to build a house, so.
Yeah, I understand.
That's on the low end.
It's all over, but
That's right.
now you're saying you want to be
Yeah.
consistent with the DCCNRs and.
So again, this is the first
While ago, we were-
reading, we need input back. But, you know, I was here when we voted 1,200, and their, you know, interest rates were low, and, building was moving pretty good, so we got 1,200 maybe, but I think now that, it's worth rethinking, the size. Now, this 900 is on the main floor, so 2 floors is 1,800 square feet, you've got a good sized
I
house.
understand, it's a footprint.
Right.
Anyway, I just don't like the idea of changing that when we had, you know, the people that have been here up to now, same argument that goes on, that they moved here because that was a requirement and that would,
So it is
with the
allowed
property
in the
values, so.
DCCNRs. The DCCNRs in some plats allow for 900 square feet, they actually allow for some.
Some probably allow 700.
That's
but that's-
750, yeah.
But, we had that in place for a long time.
They had 4 years, did we do that?
Yeah.
I can't remember. It was a big, yeah, it was, interesting conversation, I'll say that.
Brad Bitter up on Snow Forest Drive. I'm in favor of this one. for a lot of reasons. One, we'll never make all the homes in town look the same. We've got quite a variety now, and I don't think we want to be a subdivision of cookie cutter homes. Also, another big reason is A-frames. We're building an A-frame next door to our home, that's 1,200 square feet, and the thing is massive. If you want to come up with 244 Snow Forest and take a look, you'll see what I mean. 3 stories, the thing looks like a church building already. And that's just a design, so my son would have appreciated the smaller square footage, but there's plenty of floor space on the floors. But I think that ought to be taken into consideration as well. A-frames are mountain-style homes, chalets, and so forth. And they've been in this community for a long time. There's a lot of smaller ones. Mine's next door, it's smaller than that footprint, so I think it makes sense to throttle back on everything.
Any other comments? Got one?
I'll stand further away. Was there any consideration about the height? I still see that wasn't changed, because we already have those one huge barndominium, and then we have 2 more accessories, and they're just getting taller. We're gonna be allowing people to keep building them. Could we consider bringing it down to a nice size A-frame instead of 3 stories, just so it might go at 35 feet? Everybody talks about it, that you drive by and everybody stares at it, so maybe you might consider asking people to bring it down a little lower.
Okay, we can certainly discuss that one.
Thank you.
We have discussed it, it's still, yeah, we discussed that.
We just don't have a good number.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Council, we're all good? A couple of people said this, but I think when we did this 1,200, it was not easy to get that passed by the council, because there were a lot of different opinions. One of the biggest concerns that did come out of it is that we would end up with a whole town of exactly the same houses. And that's not something that we wanted to do. We wanted to have a variety of homes, like A-frames and different things like that. So anyway, yeah, so that's it. So it's on the table, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Okay. Next item on the agenda, we do have a motion. Someone would like to read this.
I can do that.
Okay, thank you.
Town of Starlight Ranch, Wyoming, suggested motion. I move the town of Starlight Ranch approve the mayor's appointment of building official Scott Gazier as a special municipal officer to enforce code violations of Title 15 land usage, Chapter 150 buildings, and Chapter 154 zoning.
Okay. Second?
I'll second.
It's been moved by Councilman Denny, second by Councilman Rock. Any questions from the audience on this? Is this another person? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Hearing none opposed, motion carries. All right, the next item on the agenda is the mayor and council. Does anyone have anything they'd like to discuss?
I've got one item. Trying to get the Finance Advisory Board to meet. The last 2 months have been very, very difficult. They're all out of town, they're gone. So I know some of you might have showed up Tuesday, Monday, yesterday, I know that last week, and Libo is here, so we do have a meeting scheduled Thursday at 4:30 with a Libo's agenda. So you're all welcome to come. It'll be downstairs. Up here, okay.
Which board? Which board?
Finance Advisory Board.
Finance advisory, okay, thank you.
After 4:30.
And so the information, the agenda is gonna be, trying to elect a new chairman and, set a schedule for next year, review our money that the town netted in 2024, and decide and recommend where to put it, which would reserve, whatever, so it's pretty limited, agenda. But it'll be happening. I apologize for not happening last week.
Okay, anything else?
I just wanted to encourage everybody to vote in November and to remember that the special purpose tax is to hopefully help our town get our roads paved and be a little safer with pathway.
I'll piggyback on that. Also on the November general election ballot will be a decision for you to make about Star Valley Ranch imposing a lodging tax of 2%. Right now, the only lodging in Star Valley Ranch are from short-term rentals, so that tax would be borne by anyone who is partaking of a short-term rental. So the lodging tax is a tax that you don't pay unless you're renting a short-term rental in town. So I just encourage everyone to look at that one and make your decision on that as well. Thank you.
And Councilman, we've had a lot of questions if that will help with enforcement. Can we spend some of that?
And the lodging tax is, so those funds go to the Travel and Tourism Board as far to determine how they're going to use them. And there are percentages in the state statute on how those can be used. I think 10% is administration. The bulk of the percentage is for tourism, promotion, or educational materials and those sorts of things. But there would be a portion of those that would be able to offset a little of administration. Actually, what they're calling it, I think, impact of visitation. So you can use some of the money to offset impacts. So yes, that's correct.
Okay, cool, thank you very much. I don't have anything. So, could I get a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hearing none opposed, motion carries.